Situated in the very center of Europe, the city of Salzburg has over long established itself as an international meeting point for all who are interested in culture, outdoor activities, and yes, university life. Salzburg is nowadays also well known for its thriving technology scene, which is further boosted by an interesting offer of degree programs developed to satisfy the industry's needs. So when thinking about going abroad for your studies, why not take a closer look at Salzburg, especially if you're interested in an almost unprecedented study program set up by making the two most prestigious higher education institutes in Salzburg join forces, the Paris-Lodron University of Salzburg and the Salzburg University of Applied Science.
Hello everyone. Thank you for your interest in our Master Applied Image and Signal Processing. My name is Stefan Wegenkittel. I'm responsible for this program, and in the following around 45 minutes, I'm going to introduce the program to you, and I will try to answer any questions that you have. Please just put your questions into the chat, and after the presentation part of this webinar, I'm going to the chat as well and try to answer your questions. Okay, to begin with, I have a presentation for you. Here we are. May I switch the slides? Okay. So we're talking about a joint master. This is a joint master between two universities, both located in the beautiful city of Salzburg. The name is Applied Image and Signal Processing. And Salzburg is easy to locate. It's just in the center of Europe in Austria, and it's the county which is almost at the heart of Austria itself. The main city, the capital of the county Salzburg, is called Salzburg as well. And there are two universities, the University of Applied Sciences and the University of Salzburg. And both of them have joined forces to bring this program to you. Okay, about studying in Salzburg. So actually, the place I'm now in is that of the campus of the Salzburg University of Applied Sciences, which is located a little bit outside the city center, but actually there's a little train going back and forth between the two sites, the two universities. And well, we have tried to schedule the program in a way that you will seldomly need to change the university. Each day is more or less devoted to study at one of those sites. But if that should be necessary, it's a 15 minutes ride with the train. Of course, Salzburg is quite famous both for its cultural and for the nature activities that are possible in the city. It's a well-known tourist spot, and it's really beautiful. On this picture, you can see the old castle, the Salzach River in the front, and some of the famous churches that are occupying the old place in the city. This is a little bit different from our campus here in the Applied University of Salzburg, which is a really modern building. And there's a lot of space available for student activities, be it classroom activities or more individual organized study groups. There's a lot of meeting places. You can always go outside the building and occupy the greens in front of the building. The red building on the left down picture is actually a housing for students. So that one is also available directly on the site of the university. Okay, and there's a wide range of studies actually offered in the Salzburg University of Applied Sciences, and we are currently talking about the green column in here, which is engineer sciences. And within those, there's also a couple of programs, and one of those programs is the Master Applied Image and Signal Processing. The idea of Applied Image and Signal Processing was like putting together the strengths in research and education that we offered both of those university sites. So here are some facts. This is a joint master program. It is a cooperation with the Paris-Laudron University of Salzburg. Paris-Laudron is one of the archbishops, and this university was actually founded some 400 years ago. And second partner, applied Salzburg University of Applied Sciences. It's a full-time program lasting for 2 years, and it's worth the 120 European credit transfer system credits. This is just a normal master. The degree awarded will be that of a Master of Science in Engineering, which is really acknowledged by all companies in Europe. It will be your kind of passport and entry certificate for a lot of interesting jobs. And of course, since this is an international program, the language of instruction is English. Okay, some more facts. The fees are considerably low. Those are only 363 euros per semester for citizens of the European Union. And there is some student union fee, which is approximately 20 euro. Includes some insurance. And this fee can be up to the double amount depending on your country of origin. This is really complicated regulations that cannot be just put on a single slide. So we have to inform you on an individual basis. But the fees are really low, and this is because most of the costs that actually arise for offering this program are funded by Austrian state and county. Okay, we regularly start in the 4th week of September, and should you be interested in becoming part of the master, please save the date. There's an international office welcome week in early September. So currently it's a little bit difficult to foresee the situation because of the coronavirus, but that would be offered in early September 2020. And we have our get-together with all the other technical degree programs offered in the university somewhere in October 2020, and this is a very nice meeting place for socializing with other students in the technical area. Okay, I think here we have got some more footage for you, some more impressions of some of the students. Here it is.
After my bachelor studies, I was searching for a master program focusing on image processing and computer vision. Applied image and signal processing was one of the few programs which focused on these topics to that extent.
Salzburg basically is a great university city. It has the University of Salzburg, it has Mozarteum, it has the University of Applied Sciences, and it's just a wonderful place of technology, academia and culture, because it's of course the original place of Mozart. In the application process of searching for a master's course, what I found really great about the University of Applied Sciences is that there was a communications channel open from the beginning. The people that were on the other end were really responsive. They were always open with what was necessary, and everything was in that regard really great.
Okay, so you've just seen that the students of the Applied Image and Signal Processing program actually come from all over the world, partly from Europe, partly from other parts of the world. It's quite an interesting mix. Of course, we have some students of the local bachelor programs that also join the Applied Image and Signal Processing program, and so contribute some local flair to our students. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the content. So if you are going to use data in intelligent applications, you have a processing chain that will look more or less like that one pictured on the slide. So you might have, for example, a medical imaging device like an MRI scanner. You have huge data, the images produced by such a device much larger than ordinary consumer camera images, and they usually go to some type of storage. Then you should possibly be interested in applying an algorithm that helps you interpreting the images, like an algorithm that does tissue detection. So it finds out and segments automatically the different parts contained in your image. What you can see here is a head looking from above, actually, and an image segmentation or tissue detection could, for example, try to locate any tumorous tissue that would be inside, for example, the brain in a medical application. Okay, then this data might be used in another application that, for example, might provide some risk analysis. So here we're talking about machine learning components or data science components that would use the image processing results, like the tissues, to derive some high-level information about that. And finally, of course, you're going to display your findings to, say, the doctors or the medical staff, whomsoever, and that might be in the form of a personal assistant application. If we take a more abstract view, we have cameras or sensors producing data, we have storage, we have image or signal processing to find out about the details, about the features in the images. We might apply machine learning algorithms to get higher level information about those. And finally, we are designing an application. And basically, you have it all covered in this master's degree. That's why applied image and signal processing aims at completely delivering the knowledge that you need to come up with applications like that one. Okay, so here we are, a lot of check marks. We are not going to talk about storage in detail. We are going to use distributed or cloud storage devices, of course, but we are not going to talk about this until everything else is covered. Okay, so we tried to put this in a curriculum, and not surprisingly, a lot of the overall 120 ECTS, namely 71, are allocated in exactly what I just told you. We are talking about audio, video, images, signals. We tell you about the mathematics that are used to process images. We code, we do a lot of coding, but it's not so much like software development in the large. We are not doing fancy graphical user interfaces. We are more about how would we convert this formula into an algorithm that performs on the image and will extract the interesting information. So we talk about methods, we talk about algorithms, of course we talk about computing and platforms for doing so. Might not be the ordinary laptop on your desk. Maybe you are going to use computers that will be certified in a certain area of application like medicine. And finally, we're talking about pattern recognition, data mining, and other aspects of data science. Okay, then we have some 16 ECTS that are dedicated to elective courses. You're going to choose 2 of them, basically, and I have a slide on the details later. And finally, of course, you're going to prepare a master's thesis, and we have some seminars for getting you into the literary research, into writing in an academic style, and so on. So 33 ECTS are seminar and thesis writing. Okay, here are some of the elective courses. Let me start with the medical imaging on the left side. This is mostly about imaging devices used in medical research, like the MRI that we have just seen, computer tomography, ultrasound imaging, but everything else that would be interesting to finally depict medical interesting images. And we're talking about how these machines work, what kind of images they generate, what those images can be used for, and how we can actually implement that. Next one, counterclockwise, is machine learning. This is about how to use computers to kind of learn from examples, for example, from annotated pictures that a medicine has produced. So he had a look at the images and he's telling the machine, well, here you've got some malicious tissue, here you have got ordinary tissue, and so on. And all those examples are used by an algorithm, machine learning style algorithm, to empower the program to do that kind of annotation by itself. So in the end, machine learning is used to automatically perform tasks which have been taught before by humans. Next one is biometric systems. This is about the use of biometrics to identify persons. And this is, for example, a fingerprint that you might use to open a door or to unlock your computer. And there's a lot of other biometric devices, some of which you might not even be aware of, like cams that would identify the way you walk and use that data to possibly identify not only you as a person, but possibly some other aspects of that. Next one is data science, which is a little bit similar to machine learning. And the difference basically is that within data science, we have a cooperation with the Department of Mathematics in the university as well. And here you are going to learn about big data engineering, so how to use a cloud and distributed infrastructure for storing and retrieving data, on one hand, and secondly, we have a certain kind of methodology that is about extracting information, in particular in the area of natural language processing. Okay, next one is media security. This is about how to make media content more secure. Think of traditional watermarks as an example. Think about digital rights management, for example, with audio or with videos, so that the owners of the content can also make money by selling the content, and it's not so easy to just copy and distribute it. And finally, we have something that is called computational geometry, and this is about the use of geometric concepts in order to come up with a really efficient algorithm. So this is an elective course for the freaks in algorithmic design. Very interesting and absolutely hot topic, but most people don't know about computational geometry. We had offered something, it's grayed out, that is called platform-specific signal processing on the top of your slide. And this is depending on the demand. If there's a huge demand in platform-specific signal processing, we will be happy to provide this one again. Recently, it was not chosen by the students, so we did not offer it. It's about how to use special hardware platforms to do signal processing, image processing. So nowadays you would call this edge computing. Okay. Well, once you have done your master in applied image and signal processing, where to go? Well, basically, our aim is to prepare you for both. On the left side of this slide, you have the possibility, number one, which is a scientific career, which could be a PhD. We have a lot of PhD positions offered by the University of Salzburg. So most of those are funded PhD positions, and you might continue after completing your master while doing research, and you actually don't need an additional job to come up with the living costs, because you have a full I don't know the English word for that, affiliation for actually doing your PhD. As you could join public or private research labs. We have in mind the research lab, dedicated research labs of bigger companies in here that would require really skilled and educated staff to, well, kind of research. Think of Perutz labs in Vienna, for example. They are quite active in the current fight against Corona. Okay, on the right-hand side, you have the more business-oriented way. You could join a company and create new and professional solutions. So this is what approximately half of our students do. And there's a lot of interesting companies surrounding Salzburg, should you be interested to stay in the place, ranging from startups in the area of, for example, data science, up to a lot of companies in touristic, of course, area, and so on and so on. And in the middle, I put some of the buzzwords. So think about digital rights management system, access systems, public information systems, everything in relation to medical systems. GIS is geographical information systems, so using satellite imagery or combining that with local sensors and so on. Embedded systems development, edge computing, as I told you, and of course, algorithm design and consumer electronics development. So a huge range of possible ways to go. Okay, let's talk about the entrance qualifications. It might be interesting for you. So basically, what we require is a bachelor degree issued by an accredited higher education institute, your university, in one of the following fields: engineering, computer science, mathematics, or somehow technically related. Having said this, we require a minimum of contact hours, or should this be an European university, ECTS, in 2 areas, namely computer science, so talking about programming, and mathematics. This is because right from the first labs and lectures, you are required to be able to use, for example, a C programming language or to do some Python scripting. So we're not talking about fancy something programming patterns or something like that. We're basically talking about procedural programming, maybe object-oriented programming for implementing scientific algorithms. And as to mathematics, any usual bachelor's course on analysis, algebra, and probability calculus should do the job. So you have to provide us with a transcript of records for your bachelor, and we will check for those minimum requirements, of course. And if they are met, you're done, and we will call for an interview. We do personal interviews with all our future students, where we have a couple of questions for you and where we can also talk about your questions. Okay, so the admission process, quite easily. There's an online application. You can see the webpage, and it's also on the materials provided with this webinar. We just started winter semester, so there's no way to start with the summer semester. And while the deadline is quite ahead of us, end of August, and please check if your online application contains all the required documents. Everything is on the web page. We need a transcript. I think this is on the next slide. Let me take a look. Oops. No, okay. So maybe I just tell this to you. So we need all those documents mentioned in the web page. In particular, the transcript. Then we need a letter of motivation. So just write a couple of lines about your personal motivation for doing this master. Maybe tell us what you did in the bachelor final project or bachelor thesis, so that we can see what you're actually interested in. Of course, we need the usual things like passport and so on. There's a couple of documents requested. And then there's something that is called special entrance qualification that is only for the non-European students. And that is basically a document telling our university that you would be allowed to do a master in your own university. And it's quite difficult to understand, honestly, but it's just required by the law, and we have to provide it. During the process, you need to send in such a document should you not be part of the European Union. We provide a template for doing so, and up to now, almost all universities in the world would be happy to just sign this template for you, and you're done. So you just download the template and give it a try. Should your university have a standard document for that purpose, well, fine. You can hand in any type of document that is provided by your university as well. But if not so, just take the template and proceed. Okay, and provided we have checked your requirements in the transcript and all your documents are in place, I'm talking about PDF upload, so not the real documents, we will invite you to a personal interview for a final check. After that one, the Commission will or will not invite you to join the program. And once you've got that informal admission, you will, depending on your country of origin, need to start the visa process. This is currently quite difficult. I'm aware of the fact. We nevertheless all do our best in implementing this. Just be reminded that we strongly recommend to apply as soon as possible, because all those processes could take a little bit of time. Should we not be able to get you on board by September this year because of maybe shutdown of the visa process and the embassies due to Corona or similar aspects, we would be happy to just postpone your admission for 1 year and considerably shorten the process. So if this is not possible this year, all the documents will be safely guarded, and you can await a much easier procedure in the next year. But of course, we will try to reserve the place for you. Okay, so I think I've gone through all the slides, and I would now be happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you do have questions, please just put them in the chat. I've not seen any questions so far. Kannst du mir den Fokus auf das?
Ja.
Okay. I'm trying to answer, but I need. Du musst mir den Cursor da reinstellen. Okay. How long does it take to get the information if I meet the requirements? Well, usually we will be quite fast. So if you upload all the documents and the upload is complete, otherwise you will be contacted as well. Give us approximately 1 or 2 weeks to do the formal check and come up with an invitation for an interview. And once the interview is done positively, that might depend on your country of origin. It's much easier in Europe, because in Europe, basically, we would invite you to send the original documents, because the final admission needs the original documents. So we try to process everything based on just PDF scans of your documents, so no need to send in any original documents, but the final legal admission can only be done. This is due to our partner, the University of Salzburg, and they need the original documents. So it's really depending, but we will be quite fast in reacting on your submission of the documents and in getting into contact with you. Does that answer your question? Okay, there's another question here. can we wait 1 year in case? Yeah, I think I just answered that one. So if the visa process is stuck, but you are informally admitted to the AIS, to the Applied Image and Signal Processing, we put you on a hold status, and we will shorten all the necessary steps. So there's not another interview, and everything is more or less processed for next year, and you will be the first one in the queue to start the process for next year. Okay, hope this is also answering your question. When attending the program, will there be enough time to do a job? Well, yes, especially in the area of IT, most jobs can be done by in a home working setting, or by not being present maybe during the week. We require attendance Monday to Friday, not all the time, of course, but about 20 to 22 hours. So this is scheduled, and it's not a completely regular schedule. There can be small changes from 1 week to another. So if you are planning to do a job, what I would recommend is doing 10, 15 hours to start with per week. If you're doing 20 hours, well, if this is a job that you can do more or less Saturday, Sunday, no problem. But expect the unexpected, especially in the first semester. So our advice to the students is maybe to start with a job 10, 15 hours that can be easily moved and does not put too much stress on you during the week. Remember, this is a full-time program, not a part-time. And actually, most of our students do so. But I would not start with 20, 25 hours right from the beginning, before having kind of got a feeling for the program and for the things that are easy for you or maybe more complicated. Okay, some of our students, for example, think that the mathematics that we use are quite complicated, and other students think, well, that's easy. And if you happen to be on the that's easy part, well, much more time for doing a job. If this is really a challenge for you, then maybe doing 10 or 15 hours would be sufficient for the first semester. You can always increase that. Okay. Kannst du noch mal zu den Questions schreiben? One more question. Is it required to submit any kind of certificate regarding my command of the English language? Currently, no, because we will check this as part of the interview. So you will have an invitation to a Skype technology-based interview, any kind of technology, but most of them are done using Skype technology. And part of that interview is about your command of English, both as a language of communication and for kind of exchanging mathematical or computer-related things. So, for example, I will ask you to tell me about the solution of a mathematical problem, and we do this in English. So I can. The problem with the certificates, if you have any kind of certificate, fine, but if not, it's not a problem. And most certificates mostly test your ability to go to a shop and buy some food. And honestly, this is not what what would help you in surviving the Applied Image and Signal Processing master. So we use English as a medium of instruction. We are not talking about perfect English, perfect pronunciation, nor are we able to do this on our own side. But English as a medium of instruction in the technical area means to be able to talk about computer programs, to talk about mathematical formulas and similar. Okay, so should you have troubles in reading out a formula in English, please give it a try before you join the interview. How long does it take to check legalized documents? Well, provided you upload the legalization correctly, we will check this good question, actually. So let me think about that. The process is quite... So first thing is we check the requirements with respect to mathematics and programming. Next thing is we have formal first check on all those documents, but not like a scrutiny detailed one. Then we will invite you to the interview. Provided the interview is positive, we give that to the legal department of the university, and that could require some time. I would not, yeah, I'm not sure. It's always depending. If everything is in place and if this is nice, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If there's something that, if they need some more information, maybe 4 weeks. That's my guess, okay? But it can be quite fast. We have had students that did all the necessary things in less than 1 week. So it's really depending on the documents, the status of the documents, and also on the time you're handing them in. Currently, there's not a lot of international documents on the way, so I think the process will be quite fast. Okay. So there's another one. Is there a chance for students to have free course for learning German? Yes, there is. And you're invited to do so. German is not the easiest language, but a lot of the international students in our university take part in German courses. Actually, they are offered by the Applied University, and there's also a set of German courses offered by the Paris-Lodron University. So there's a couple of options to go. Important, note it. If you would like to join a German course, be really, really fast in getting the information and get on board, because most of them will start in the middle of September, and 2 days later they are booked. So if your arrival time would be later than that, you need to make sure that you will have your place in one of those courses, okay? So do not hesitate to tell us in advance or contact the international office of the 2 universities in advance, even before actually going to Salzburg, and tell them about this plan, and so that they can put you in one of those courses. Okay. Is there any plan for master students' accommodation, like providing a dorm room? There is, and we have a couple of places kind of reserved for applied image and signal processing students, and you can find that information on our homepage. Just check out for the housing. There's an agency in Austria that takes care of that, and that will be helpful in finding a dorm room. There's actually almost no dorms available directly on the side of the Applied University, but there's a lot of other options in the city. And as I told you, some of the places should be even reserved for this program. So, right, should be fine. A lot of questions. Okay, fine. So if there are no more questions, of course, if there are any questions popping up in the next days, please don't hesitate to get into contact. You have the email address and everything on our landing page and on both homepages in both universities. So plenty of ways to contact us. Mrs. Kimberly Karish is taking care of those emails, and she will inform me in case you have any questions regarding, for example, your status or your documents, and we are really happy to provide you with any help you need. it would be fine to meet you in fall here in Salzburg in Austria. And again, thank you much for your interest in the Applied Image and Signal Processing program. Goodbye.